Hello, my name is Dr. Arthur McClinu. I've dedicated my life to providing surgical care to patients with heart disease. My life began in the slums of Soweto in South Africa, where I learned to overcome adversity and illnesses, including the death of my best friend. That's why I want to be a resource for you and your family for consultation related to heart and cardiovascular needs. You can learn more about me by visiting my website, which is at zuluchestcutter.com.
One. Thank you. Welcome to another edition of the Roland GRIMES, Not Just Sports Entertainment Show. I am your host, Wilbert Skipper, also known as Mr. Self-Empowerment. We're taping live at the Society Lounge, 8229 Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland. Listen, folks, if you're ever in the downtown Silver Spring area, you need to stop in. The food is great, the drinks is great, and the staff is even greater. As always, we have a dynamite show on tap for you this evening. We're going to be talking to two basketball legends. Please help me welcome the first guest. The gentleman sitting to my far left, he played high school basketball in Baltimore, Maryland at Forest Park. He then took his worthy basketball credentials and decided to play at Bowie State University, right here in Maryland. He tested the waters with the NBA, with the Detroit Pistons, and also with the Phoenix Suns. He then took his basketball credentials overseas, where he played for several years in Europe. He's now in the Basketball Hall of Fame at Bowie State. Please help me welcome Mr. Joe Manley. And the gentleman sitting closest to me, to my left, he hails from Washington, D.C. He played his basketball at McKinley Tech High School. I believe he's one of the best point guards to ever come out of the metropolitan area. He'll probably say that I'm wrong, but no, we'll talk about that later. He then took his basketball credentials and decided to play for Jacksonville University. He had a storied professional career with the Phoenix Suns. He was in their camp for 2 years. He played in the CBA, and he also had an extended career playing professionally in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Anthony Cricket Williams. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And even though it's been a long time, we still have the basketball knowledge. So we're going to be talking about basketball. First, I want to pose a question to you, Joe. Okay. When you go back to your basketball career, obviously when we start, we have to start somewhere. When did you know that basketball was going to be your ticket, that you were going to play this game, probably for a long time beyond just playing in high school?
It finally dawned on me when baseball was my favorite sport. And I used to play baseball, little league, home league, all throughout. And I started to grow a little bit. Well, I was about 6'5", and everybody in the neighborhood would tease me and say, you know what you could do on the basketball court. So I thought I'd give it a try. And after I gave it a try, I found it was something I really liked. I still enjoyed baseball. I played both through college, but basketball became my primary love.
Okay, what about you?
Well, mine started in, believe it, recreation. 12 and under.
I remember the 12 and under.
12 and under.
Very popular.
And it's like we don't have that type of community centers anymore in the neighborhood. And everyone played with the community centers.
Yeah.
And started getting better at 12 and under, and I started playing 13, 15. Went out for the junior high school team. I got cut my first year. And that was something I could never believe. You know, I was like, I got cut? Wow. And started doing the rec thing again. It got so good the next year, my junior high school was the only high school, or junior high school that went 22 and 0.
Wow.
I had guys like Shirley Martin, Gus Bowles went to Coolidge, Robert Newton went to Easton, and Eric Banks. That was starting 5. Yeah.
Right. Well, we know basketball tradition is very rich in the Washington metropolitan area. When I was playing basketball, as I was coming up, there was one gentleman by the name of Glenn Harris, who was a sports talk host for Channel 8 Sports Talk. He was very instrumental in helping me stay focused. I was just a young kid thinking I could play, and I felt like I could play, but there were a lot of people pulling me in different directions, telling me that I should not play basketball. When you look back at both of you all's careers, who were some of the people that were instrumental in helping you along the way as you pursued your dream?
Well, myself was, like I said, it started from recreation, junior high. When I got in high school, the coach asked me, was I coming up for manager? I was so small. He said, we like little guys too. And I ended up, you know, being one of the, I guess, better players on the, you know, high school teams. But those guys right there that never gave me a chance, and the guys that did give me a chance, made me work harder, to pursue my career that I wanted to be basketball. And, you know, I never had no dreams about playing NBA or doing anything.
We just played basketball.
That's all. And we played out in the snow, we played out in the rain. It wasn't a thing about we had to have a net on the court or anything, you know, and it kept us out of trouble.
Absolutely.
So that was the main things there. And then the youth games, we had that. That was like the Junior Olympics.
Right, exactly.
You know,
and Washington, D.C. had their own youth games.
Exactly. And matter of fact, I met a gentleman here I coached in the 8th grade.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. So it was like, it helped me do that. And then through all that, I was, you know, set, you know. Was never scared to play.
Right.
You know, D.C., he was like, I'm
And
from D.C.
you could literally play for 24 hours.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody wanted you to play.
Right.
Even in the dark, we would play
And it
basketball.
was crazy because my father used to always thought we was out selling drugs. You know,
Yeah.
you out in the street. This time of night, it's 12, 1 o'clock in
Exactly.
the morning. Dad was on the basketball court. What? You know, and that kind of thing that influenced me to keep playing and keep playing and keep playing. And so it made me for what I was. And I
What
wouldn't
about
get to turn around, you know.
And what about you, Joe?
You know, not to piggyback on what Cricket is saying, but the rec center in Baltimore where I grew up in, basically, nobody really played basketball, so everybody was playing baseball. But a guy came and took over the rec named Robert Cole. We called him Mr. Bob. And he saw something in me. And so when he did, he got a part-time job where he kept the junior high school that was in our neighborhood open, kept the gym open, and he would always encourage us. Anybody that he thought had potential, he would say, come on in here, you know. I'm open the gym. I will open the gym Saturday night. I will open the gym Sunday night. As long as you guys are working on something constructive, you're not staying out of trouble, he said, it makes the neighborhood better. And I was fortunate enough to come up with a core full of really great guys that, you know, they didn't want to get in trouble. They thought basketball and sports was more important. There was a point in my life where I lived and died sports, basketball. That was all I ever wanted to do. From the time I got up in the morning to the time I went to bed at night, I wanted to dribble a basketball, hit a baseball. It was always sports, to the point that when time came to, you know, as you get older, you get interested in girls. But, you know, I was so far out of the game, all I knew how to do was bounce the ball. So it took me a long time to catch up with that. So.
Well, it's amazing that you say that, and folks, we get ready to take a break. But it's amazing that you say that, Joe, because a lot of people don't remember a lot of my story. But let me just share this with you before we go to break. Basketball became my girlfriend, my best friend, my everything. I never did anything else but play basketball. Even though some of the kids used to laugh at me and say, well, why are you doing this, the other? When I look back on it, it was the best thing that could have happened. Folks, we're talking basketball. The Roland GRIMES is not just sports entertainment show. We'll be right back. Show. Once again, I am your host, Roland Skipper, also known as Mr. Self-Empowerment, and we're taping live at the Society Lounge, 8229 Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland. If you missed the first segment, folks, we're talking basketball. We're talking to two basketball legends, in my opinion. And one of the things that have always concerned me as I was growing up as a young basketball player, wanting to fulfill my dream, which was once to become the NBA, and no, I did not make it, but I fell a little short of that, was mentorship. But before I talk about the mentorship part, I want to ask both of you guys, in terms of your memories, what are some of your best games that you had playing basketball? And if you want to go back to high school and then college and pros, you can do that. I personally remember Andrew Corbin. This is nothing against you, just in case you decide to watch this show. But Corbin, I remember falling out of bounds at Anacostia High School before the three-point shot was in play, from about 35 feet. And yes, it was the game winner. At George Washington University, 34 points against George Mason. Mom was in the hospital sick. I thought that would be a good Christmas gift for her. I managed to do that. And in junior college, 41 points. That was my story. What about you guys? What are some of the memorable basketball days that you had?
Okay, if going back to my days at Bowie State, I would say my senior year, we played Coppin State for the championship. And they had Joe Bates, who later played for the Bullets, and he played center. You know, unfortunately, we weren't a tall team. I had to play center because I could jump a little bit. And I had the greatest game of my life. I had 34 points, 30 rebounds, 12 block shots. But even though they won the game, nobody ever heard about that. It was just, they were talking about Joe Pace, and, you know, so I kind of got underlooked. But rest assured, I kept that on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that's in your
I still have it today.
That's in your archives. That's right. What about you, Chris?
Wow, I had like 3 separate times. One was a junior high school I was telling you about. We went 22-0, and I was getting recruited by all these high schools, even for my size. The next was, matter of fact, we ended up playing JoJo Hunter for the championship in Manley Junior High School. I guess the high school was Larry Wright first came in town.
Mr. Wright.
Yeah, he was Western High School, and this guy was all this. And I was in the 10th grade, I started. So ended up having one of my best games against Larry Wright. And we beat them in overtime. In college, we went to the NCAA tournament. We ended up playing Larry Bird in the tournament. And won the Sun Belt that year. And I think I got 15 and 10 assists that game. And it was such a thing just to go to the NCAA.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's your dream.
That's the dream, and it's like you're playing against Bird. You know, it's like wow, you playing against Larry Bird. You know, it's like wow, talk more trash than anybody I knew. You know, I mean, it was unbelievable. Well, those were my times.
Well, let me ask you guys this. When we talk about basketball, we know that the Washington, D.C. area, and to include Baltimore, is a basketball hub. What is one of the reasons why you all think that the Washington, D.C. area, to include Baltimore, the nation's capital, has this extremely good pedigree when it comes to basketball talent? Now, that's not to say that we don't have good football talent in the Washington, D.C. area, but when it comes to basketball, what are a couple of things that you all think or believe?
You know why? I think basketball is a thing you can play by yourself. And I think that's what made a lot of guys good in this area. Like you said, you can just throw the ball off the wall, you can dribble, you can shoot, you get your own rebound. You didn't have to play with anybody. Baseball, you had to throw against the wall to catch it, or football, somebody had to throw it to you. So being in basketball, you played all the time. And like you said earlier, it was like, you know, I carried this ball with me, I did these things, and you played against competition. You traveled around the city.
We yearn to do that.
Exactly. You ride your bicycle, you know, you go play it early, you didn't know people. And you would say, I got next.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and you played against the best.
Absolutely.
So
Which made us better basketball players.
Exactly.
Now, did you have the same experience,
Exactly.
Joe?
No, I mean, I can relate to what he's saying, but I would say with Baltimore, Washington being such urban areas, you know, your city kids. So a lot of times a baseball field's not available. You know, a lot of times you can't get enough guys to play football. But there was a culture, it was like a city culture where basketball players, you played, that was part of your culture. If you didn't play basketball in the neighborhood, you were considered, you know, a nobody. I mean, we played every day, we played hard because it was the thing we did. I'm sure every city, because New York, for a while, had like, they had a hold on that, but
Well, Philadelphia was in the mix.
Yeah,
Philadelphia was in the mix.
we never got the pub, particularly Baltimore. DC did, you know, 'cause I used to hear all stories going up by Adrian Dan and all this stuff. And culturally, for black people, it was the sport to play. And, you know, as people played and you heard legends, you wanted to be like them. And some of those legends happened to live in your neighborhood. You were even more inspired. So,
and not to stop Joe off, it was like you'll watch a basketball game, and then you'll try to go outside and emulate
What you just
whatever
saw.
play you just see.
every Sunday,
Every Sunday it's like Earl Monroe today, you know what I mean? And you try to do these moves, to spin moves, or the ball will get caught, and it's like, I gotta keep trying that, you know.
The perfection came from just doing it.
Exactly, if that's what it was, so.
Well, let me talk a little bit about what a lot of people think and don't think about whether or not basketball players or athletes are role models. Now, I have my own opinion about it. Personally, I think whether or not we want to be a role model or not, we are a role model. It's not something that you have to go out and say that you are. But the way you walk in your life, the things that you do, if you have kids out there that are following you, they probably want to emulate what you're doing, especially if you're doing the right thing. Do you all think we are role models, and what do you think about that?
I think my parents was my first role model. And I think that was their job, you know, when influenced me to be who I am, you know, from the jump. So me and kids, sure, because I think if I'm out here doing something wrong, they're going to emulate me because they think that's cool. You know, but to see me doing all these other things and positive, regardless, if you're going to school, how you dress, how you carry yourself, you know, all these things, you know, that brings on a kid looks up to that. If you can get a kid that pay attention to what you're trying to tell them in a positive way. So I think we are role models, even though we may not be that type of person wants to be labeled as Barkley said. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, and there was a big controversy about that because of that, and that's why I wanted to talk about that, to get you guys' opinion. Joe, what are your thoughts?
I would say naturally, you're a role model, whether you want to be so or not. Because a particular case for me is in my neighborhood, you know, after I started really developing and getting good at basketball in Baltimore, you know, there were kids that would speak to me, and I never knew their names, never said anything. So later on, 20 years or so, I run into a high school reunion. It's the same guy I grew up with. And he comes to me and he says, you know what? I named my son after you. I said, what? I said, why? I said, because I can play basketball. He said, no. He said, because the way you carried yourself. He said, you got out of this neighborhood. You never got in any trouble. And it was like the greatest feeling in the world.
Absolutely.
So, definitely role model.
Well, folks, we're getting ready to take a break, but before we do that, just want to share with the viewing audience out there, if you have kids, young kids that are playing sports and athletics, the one thing that you need to make sure that they understand is that they need to not only talk the talk, but they need to walk the walk. If you're going to be the best that you can be in life, you got to make sure you get your grades. You got to make sure that you say yes, sir, and no, sir. Go back to the old days, the way our parents raised up. We don't have enough people pitching in to help those who need help. When we come back on the Roland Grimes Show, I want to talk to these gentlemen about the game of basketball and how it has changed and what are their thoughts about that. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Dr. Arthur McClinu. I've dedicated my life to providing surgical care to patients with heart disease. My life began in the slums of Soweto in South Africa, where I learned to overcome adversity and illnesses, including the death of my best friend. That's why I want to be a resource for you and your family for consultation related to heart and cardiovascular needs. You can learn more about me by visiting my website, which is at zuluchescutter.com.
Welcome back to the Roland Grimes, not just sports and entertainment show. We're talking basketball with two basketball legends, Mr. Joe Manley, the gentleman to my far left, and the gentleman closest to me, Mr. Anthony Cricket Williams. When you talk about basketball, the game of basketball as it is today, how has the game changed? And do you like some of the changes that we're seeing right now? Because obviously we know when we played back in the day, yes folks, we're telling our age a little bit, all of us are 35 years old. Give us a round of applause for that, thank you very much. When you look at the game of basketball as it is today, and I'll start with you, Joe. How do you think it has changed, and do you like some of the changes that have been implemented?
You know, not sounding like one of those old guys that's going to hate on young guys, but the game has changed drastically to me in the sense that there was a time when a basketball player had complete skills. If you were a basketball player, you could dribble, you could shoot, you could pass, you could do the game. Now, to me, it's athletes, they're great athletes that are trying to play basketball, meaning everybody in the world can jump, everybody's real fast, but they don't have the skill. They're not as skilled. They're more athletic. They're more athletic, but they're not as skilled.
Yeah.
So that's what big difference I see.
Now, do you agree with some of the changes that have been implemented? You know, the three-point shot. Of course, they have the shot clock now. That we didn't have those.
I think having a shot clock is a great thing because you remember back in the day when North Carolina would play Virginia, they had Ralph Sampson and Pete Smith held the ball the whole game, halftime score 4-3. So that's great for the game. The three-point shot, in my opinion, has ruined American basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now kids come out to shoot a jump shot, the first thing they run for, put their toes up on the line, and that's what they want to shoot from. Nobody has a 10 to 12-foot jump shot. Nobody can bang off the glass. They can dunk from 3-point.
Yeah, and it's taken away, in my opinion, from some of the development for basketball players. As you talk about being able to do more things with what you do.
I think it's changed drastically. Most guys can't even shoot a free throw, but you want to shoot a 30-footer. You know, I can't understand that. You know, like, you get paid all this money, you can't shoot a free throw. You and I probably can go and average 8 or 9 points a game. Right now, I'll shoot 5, 6 free throws a game. You know, it's ridiculous. And it's part about not touching the guy playing defense. Back in the day, it wasn't no flagrant foul. You going to the basket, you just gonna get clocked. That was your choice. You know, you could take that contact. That was what.
And you couldn't say anything about it.
Exactly.
You were labeled as soft if you went in the paint. You complained about it.
That's correct.
So you had to live with it.
Right, and this hand checking thing. You know, we could check a guy, touch him the whole game. Now you can't touch a guy. You blow on a guy, he falling down. And they call it foul. You know, and now they're trying to do this flopping rule, which has been out so long. You know, and you know, it's just seems like it's more about entertainment.
Well, I agree with you. I think it is more of an entertainment piece, at least from the exposure standpoint, the way they build it up. It's a show.
It's a show.
We never looked at basketball as being a show. Yes, folks, I'm saying we never looked at basketball as being a show. It was a game. It was something that we wanted to do, but it was never looked upon as being a show. Now, when you look at the era that we came up in, mentorship, what are your thoughts about mentorship? How important is that for you all, and are you all currently participating in mentoring kids as we speak?
Oh, Joe and I can tell you a story today. We worked at the community center almost 17 years together. We coached kids from, matter of fact, I coached his son. And I just seen him, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen him in a long time, like way taller than me, you know, but he turned out to be a good person. You know what I mean? So,
and that's very important.
Exactly. And a lot of the kids that come up to me, I'll be in the mall or I'll be working somewhere, and the kid will tell me, oh, that's Mr. Williams. And I was like, sound old man, but the same kids I coached now have families, you know, doing well in jobs.
And that's a good feeling.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, you know, wow, this is amazing, you know. And I'm like, man, I coached you when you was 10. You know, and I gave back, you know, like, and it wasn't the kids that was the problem, it was always the parents. You know what I mean? And now I'm still trying to help kids. If I can get you into school and it's free, and you playing sports, it's not all about athletics. It's getting that 4 or 5 year, you know, free money.
Exactly, because there's life after basketball.
Exactly.
And Joe,
everybody's not gonna make it.
and Joe,
As far as mentorship, as a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, you know, I'm still active, and we still do things like a Big Brother program where kids that operate on, you know, that don't have anything else to look forward to. And you try to show them rewards in life if you buckle down and you do the right things. And I had a girl, this is when I was working at Tucker Road Community Center, we had a program up there. I saw her about a year ago. She's grown, man, and she came up and hugged me, gave me the biggest kiss, thanking me for saving her life, because she said their family had nothing. She had no hope. She said, but she saw from me that if she just worked hard, you know, she could accomplish something. It's a great feeling.
Well, one of the girls that I coached at William Dean's Community Center was Nikki Teasy.
Yeah, Nikki Teasy played the WNBA.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Played with us. She was the only girl, it was 2 of them, her and a little girl named Sandra Lumpkins. And they were just as tough as the boys. They played on the boys' team. And they would call the little boys, y'all act like y'all skiing. They're laughing, man. I mean, that's how tough they was.
Exactly.
They used to ride the southeast, pick her up, and bring her in. Her parents didn't even know she played.
Dedication.
Yeah, so it was like, Mom, it's like, you playing basketball? And look, All-American in North Carolina. WNBA.
You played with the Atlanta Storm, played with the Washington Mystics.
And the Sparks.
And the Sparks, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
those stories right there, you know.
Well, it's so much gratification that comes out of reaching back to help the kids that sometimes, I mean, it's priceless. You can't even put a price on it. One of the things that we always try to do on the Roland GRIMES show is to educate, inform, and make sure that you get the content that you deserve. if you are a parent out there and you have a kid that's playing football, basketball, whatever sport they may be playing, don't worry about letting go. If there's somebody else that can help them, like these two gentlemen up here, or myself, that can help them become a better person, a better man, because there's life after sports. Let it go. Let somebody else help them. Don't hold your kids back from being the best that they can be. When it comes to basketball, as it relates to now in your life, I'll pose this question, we'll take a break, and we'll come back, and let me just address the question first. I want you to talk about what it's done for you and how you're living in your current life right now. We'll be right back with the Roland Grimes Show. Welcome back to the Roland Grimes Show. If you missed the first series, we've been talking about basketball. Basketball as it relates to possibly your kid and other kids as well. Before we wrap up, gentlemen, I want to talk about basketball as to how it has impacted your life right now. As you sit on the Roland Grimes set, how has basketball impacted your life, and what are some of the learned behavior skills from just playing that sports that you're using right now in this day and time?
Well, me, personally, being on the show right now. That's definitely why.
That's the best answer.
Oh, boy.
It has gave me so many opportunities, you know, in terms of traveling, you know, meeting people that I thought I would never ever meet, being in front of, you know, so many millions of people doing things, you know, and it's like, wow, you know, I didn't never think I would get here. So it helped me job-wise, you know, exposure for culturally. You know, I can go anywhere I want to go.
And probably in some of the places you recognize.
Exactly, Skip. And it helps me, I can go anywhere and still like I've been there before.
Well, does your story echo what cricket is saying, Joe? And we're going to wrap it up.
Almost exactly. The exposure, I've exposed to people in places that I never would have been exposed to without basketball. I've had a chance, I've been lucky, I've traveled around most of the world chasing behind basketball. I've met some of the greatest people, and I've learned discipline. Because basketball teaches you, what you get out of it is what you put into it.
Right.
And if you don't have that, you don't have discipline.
Well, as we always like to say, folks, before we sign off, the Roland Grimes Now Just Sports Entertainment Show is a show that we're really happy about. We try to bring you the best content. I said that earlier. I'm saying it again. We want to keep repeating the fact that we have that. Until the next time, I want to thank our guests, Mr. Joe Manley, Mr. Anthony Cricket Williams. We're signing off. Take care. God bless. Be back at you next time.